During the week of July 6th to the 10th, we are witnessing a bizarre and deeply frustrating reversal. Instead of fighting against the enigmatic WSB head known as Z, Carly is actively collaborating with him, trying to convince her own daughter that the only way to protect her loved ones is to become a highly trained operative in a world built on deception and violence. Jocelyn, to her absolute credit, is the one showing true character integrity in this situation. After surviving the traumatic captivity on Spoon Island with Liesel Obrecht, Jocelyn wants nothing more than to leave this dangerous life behind. She has seen the ugly reality of what men like Ross Cullum and Jen Sidwell are capable of, and she is rightfully hesitating to step into a life where she would have to become just as ruthless to survive. You can just feel the tension brewing, a ticking time bomb waiting to detonate between mother and daughter. Carly and Z are relentlessly tag-teaming the poor girl, trying to convince her that formal WSB training is her destiny. I fully expect Jocelyn to absolutely explode in anger, rebelling against both her mother and Z in a spectacular fashion, because she knows deep down that joining the WSB is a one-way ticket to losing her soul. Speaking of unexpected power dynamics and shifting allegiances, we absolutely must discuss the astonishing turn of events involving ADA, Justine Turner, Sonny Corinthos, and the escaped madman, Jens Sidwell. For weeks, we were led to believe that Sidwell had the upper hand, having lured Sonny into a deadly trap at Ava Jerome's art gallery and taking Justine as a hostage. We all thought Justine was just going to be another helpless pawn in a grand mob war, but in a twist that feels wonderfully reminiscent of the grand, sweeping intelligence of classic soap narratives, Turner has secretly been manipulating the entire situation from the shadows. She is not a victim, she is the puppet master who has been holding all the strings while these two dangerous men measured their egos. Having gathered a mountain of undeniable evidence, Justine Turner essentially corners both Sonny and Sidwell, forcing a stalemate that neither man anticipated. Instead of sending them both to prison or letting them destroy each other, she uses her immense leverage to force them into a shocking cooperation. She demands that they work together to track down a hidden, much more powerful mastermind who has been orchestrating the recent string of violent events in Port Charles. Watching Sonny Corinthos being forced into a reluctant alliance with a man who just tried to kill him is a brilliant example of long-term storytelling. It reminds me of the days when Sonny had to form unholy alliances with his worst enemies, forcing him to rely on his strategic brilliance rather than just his muscle. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, the domestic drama is taking a wonderfully dark and mysterious turn with Molly, Rick, and Alexis. Molly was supposed to be completely focused on her highly anticipated book launch, a milestone she has been working toward for months. But the intuitive young woman cannot shake the feeling that her father, Rick Lansing, is hiding a massive, dangerous secret regarding her mother, Alexis Davis. Rick has always been a brilliantly complex legacy character, a man whose love for Alexis has often manifested in deeply twisted, obsessive, and overprotective ways. We have seen him do terrible things in the name of love, and it seems history is repeating itself in the most intriguing way possible. Molly's suspicions are entirely validated when she completely abandons her book launch preparations and stumbles upon a cache of mysterious documents hidden by Rick. These documents reveal that Rick is not just keeping secrets for the sake of being deceptive, he is actively and silently protecting Alexis from a massive, unseen conspiracy that is far more dangerous than anyone in their family realizes. This is the kind of deeply emotional, character-driven mystery that makes us fall in love with these families all over again. It forces us to ask whether Rick's protective measures will ultimately save Alexis or put her right in the crosshairs of the very danger he is desperately trying to hide from her. I must admit, I was completely caught off guard by Lulu Spencer's reaction to the massive revelation regarding Cassius Faison and the fake Nathan West. We all expected a massive, explosive fallout. We expected Lulu to go on a warpath, completely devastated and enraged that she had shared her life and her bed with an imposter. But instead of dwelling on the emotional trauma of the twin swap, Lulu channels her inner Spencer resilience and completely pivots her attention to a much more pressing mystery. She proves exactly why she is a legacy character who carries the relentless, investigative torch of her iconic parents, Luke and Laura. Lulu pushes her own heartbreak aside and sets her sights firmly on Charlotte Cassadine. Lulu begins to heavily suspect that Charlotte knows far more about Valentine Cassadine's sudden disappearance than the young girl is admitting. We all know that Charlotte overheard the dangerous secrets and confessed to Lulu that Valentine was hiding at Carly's house, but Lulu's maternal and investigative instincts tell her there is another layer to this deception. By heavily interrogating Charlotte and digging into the timeline of Valentine's escape, Lulu inadvertently opens up a brand new, intense investigation that puts Carly Spencer directly in the hot seat. Carly is now facing immense pressure from Lulu, who's determined to uncover exactly how complicit Carly was in helping a fugitive evade international authorities, creating a delicious conflict between two incredibly strong women. And let us not forget the absolute spectacle that unfolded on Spoon Island. Because if you have been watching this show as long as I have, you know better than to believe a villain is truly gone without seeing a body buried in the ground. The supposed death of Ross Cullum during that chaotic, violent confrontation felt entirely too neat, too final for a villain of his magnitude and cunning. There is a very strong, undeniable theory circulating that Cullum did not actually perish in the chaos. Um, Instead, he orchestrated a brilliant theatrical fake death, a classic trope that echoes the grand deceptions of the Cassadine family and Cesar Faison from decades past. By faking his own death, Cullum has effectively blinded the WSB and all of his enemies, allowing him to slip into the shadows completely undetected. The disappearance of Ross Cullum is not the end of his reign of terror. It is merely the opening act for a much more sinister, carefully plotted revenge scheme that will undoubtedly strike Port Charles when they least expect it. While the residents of our beloved town are breathing a collective sigh of relief, believing the nightmare is finally over, they are completely unaware that the true danger is just beginning to gather its strength in the dark. All of these seemingly disparate threads, Justine Turner's hidden mastermind, Rick Lansing's secret protection of Alexis, Lulu's relentless pursuit of the truth about Valentine, and Cullum's likely fake demise are clearly just the tip of a massive, dangerous iceberg. The writers are meticulously laying the groundwork for a massive convergence of storylines, proving that the chaos of the past few weeks was merely a distraction from the true threat looming over Port Charles. It is a masterful stroke of suspense that keeps us veterans glued to our screens, analyzing every glance, every dropped hint, and every seemingly throwaway line of dialogue. It is precisely these unresolved mysteries and looming threats that serve as the perfect, dramatic bridge for the highly anticipated return of Jason Morgan. When Jason finally steps back into the city limits of Port Charles, he will not just be returning as the loyal enforcer we have known for decades. He is predicted to return with a completely new, highly classified mission, carrying the answers to the very mysteries that are currently tearing the town apart. Jason is going to be the key to connecting the hidden mastermind, manipulating Justine, the conspiracy threatening Alexis, and the shadow war being waged by the supposedly dead Ross Cullum. At the end of the day, this is exactly why we have remained so fiercely loyal to this show through all of its incredible highs and frustrating lows. The narratives may shift, the writers may occasionally test our boundless patience, and our favorite characters might make decisions that leave us screaming at our television screens in utter disbelief. But the rich, deeply woven history of Port Charles, the enduring legacy of families like the Spencers, the Quartermains, and the Corinthos clan, and the sheer emotional depth of these long-term storylines will always keep us coming back for more. We watch because these characters feel like our own family, and no matter how dark the storm gets, we know that the sun will eventually rise on another day of breathtaking drama.